So it's time for the second set of 25 Pokemon trading card games. So the foil is a Swoobat. It's a psychic type. The ability is unaware. Prevent all effects of attacks from your opponent's Pokemon done to this Pokemon. Damage. The foil really makes it hard to read. Damage is not an effect. And then the attack is Stamp. Costs one psychic energy and one normal energy to do 70 damage. Russia, it's a supporter trainer. Draw a card until you have, or cards until you have 5 cards in your hand. If none of your Pokemon have any energy attached, draw a card until you have 7 cards in your hand instead. You may play only one support card during your turn. So, quite helpful if you don't have many cards in your hand. Festival Grounds. It's a stadium trainer. Each Pokemon that has any energy attached, both yours and your opponent's, recovers from all special conditions and can't be affected by any special conditions. Wishful Baton. It's a trainer item. Attach one Pokemon tool of your to one of your Pokemon that doesn't have a tool attached to it. If the Pokemon this card is attached to is your active Pokemon and is knocked out by damage from an opponent attack, move up to 3 basic energy cards from this Pokemon to one of your bench Pokemon. You may play as many item cards as you like during your turn before you attack. So, I mean, Wishful Baton, it reminds me of the 4x100, it's a baton you're passing to your teammate. It kind of passes the energy to one of your bench Pokemon so that, even though if your active Pokemon gets knocked out, it kind of transfers energy for the next Pokemon. Morty's Conviction, supporter trainer. You can use this card only if you discard another card from your hand. Draw a card for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. You may play only one support card during your turn. So, I mean, not huge on discarding cards to be able to draw cards, but situationally, I could see how it could be helpful. So we have 2 energy cards here. And we have Wobbuffet. I don't remember if that's how you pronounce his name. It's a psychic type Pokemon. Shadow Knot. It costs 3 psychic energies and does 50 damage plus the multiplier. This attack does 50 damage for each psychic energy in your opponent's active Pokemon retreat cost. Torkoal. It's a fire Pokemon that is the turtle, which is unique because usually I think of turtles as, sea creatures, so they'd, you know, I would think they'd be a water type, but, they sometimes change things to keep things interesting here in Pokemon, and the artwork, it either he's really happy or high. Stampede costs 2 basic energies to do 30 damage, and then Concentrated Fire costs 1 fire energy and 2 basic energies to do 80 damage with a multiplier. Flip a coin for each fire energy attached to this Pokemon. This attack does 8 damage for each heads. Kirilla. It's a psychic type Pokemon that evolves from Rowlets. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that Pokemon's name correctly. It's a psychic type. Its ability is Refinement. You must discard a card from your hand in order to use this ability. Once during your turn, you may draw 2 cards. So again, I'm not huge on discarding cards to draw cards. In this case, you're getting 2 cards for the one that you're discarding. And the attack is Slap. It costs 1 psychic energy and 1 normal energy to do 30 damage. I mean, it's Slap, I normally think of as a physical attack, so kind of interesting that's on a psychic Pokemon. Maybe they could have been a little bit more creative and come up with some kind of like psychic slap, or just like something that sounded psychic type in with the slap. Coco. It almost sounds like it should be like a chocolate, like hot chocolate or chocolate bar or something. It's a fire type Pokemon, and the attack is Tackle, but it costs a fire energy, and it does 20 damage. So, I mean, again, Tackle is a physical attack, but nothing related to fire. You would think if they're gonna make it cost a fire energy, it could at least be like burning tackle or fire tackle to like make it go with the fire theme of the Pokemon. Raticate, which evolves from Rattata. It's a normal type Pokemon. Second Bite costs 2 normal energy to do 30 plus damage. This attack does 30 more damage for each damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon. So fairly decent attack. It might hit for 30 the first time, but then once there's damage counters, you're doing 30 plus, and then 30 plus again. And like in the games, I remember Raticate learned Super Fang, which cut your opponent's Pokemon HP in half, and then it had Hyper Fang, which, depending on the Pokemon you were going against, had a potentially high damage hit, especially if it did a critical hit. So kind of interesting that it went with Second Bite, but makes sense that it does more damage the more you use it. Lekonk, weird looking pig It's a normal type Pokemon. Headbutt, Bounce, costs 1 normal energy to do 10 damage. And Mud Shot costs 2 normal energy to do 20 damage. I almost feel like Mud Shot might have been ground related in the games, maybe. And I don't remember if it did some kind of specialty effect, whether it was reducing your opponent's accuracy or something. It felt like it did something, but I could be thinking of a different move that sounded similar to Mud Shot. Toxic Croak. It's a fighting type Pokemon. Its first attack is Corkscrew Punch, which costs 2 normal energy to do 50 damage. Kind of interesting that its punch move should be a fighting move, but costs normal energy. And then we have Clean Hit, which costs a fighting energy and 2 normal energy to do 90 plus damage. If your opponent's active Pokemon is an evolution Pokemon, this attack does 90 more damage. I mean, presumably the evolution Pokemon's gonna have higher HP, so the extra 9 damage will be helpful for dealing with, something like higher health. Gligar. It's a fighting type Pokemon. Toxic. Cost normal energy. Flip a coin. If heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is now poison. During Pokemon checkup, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon instead of 1. So, I mean, you have the chance to poison your opponent's active Pokemon, but otherwise you're not doing any damage by attacking. So I guess you'd have to poison your opponent's Pokemon to switch out to do something to actually attack and do damage. Ethan's Quibble, which evolves from Cyndaquil. Its ability is Bonded by the Journey. Once during your turn, you may search your deck for an Ethan's Adventure card, reveal it, and put it into your hand. Then shuffle your deck. So I'm not sure how many of the different trainers have adventure cards or just, items or whatever, but that's kind of interesting that the Pokemon lets you search for an adventure card. So where it's a fire Pokemon, it has a fire move. Combustion costs a fire energy to do 40 damage. Oh, and then we have Ethan's Slugma. Kind of interesting that back-to-back trainer cards, and it happens to be the same trainer. The previous pack, it had a Team Rocket, and then I think there might have been a card in between, and then some other trainer. I don't remember if it was a gym trainer or not. Fire-type Pokemon. Steady fire breathing, costs a fire energy to do 20 damage. Where it's steady fire breathing, it almost sounds like it should, do more damage over time, or have a damage multiplier where you're flipping a coin, or it just sounds like it has more potential to do more damage somehow, but I mean, I guess that's okay. You know, still does 20 damage. Just would be cool to see something more with it, I guess. Lurantis. It's a grass type. It, Razor Leaf, it costs normal energy to do 30 damage. Um, Razor Leaf sounds like it should be a grass move, but costs the normal energy. Take it or leave it. Petal Blade Dance costs the grass energy to do 130 damage. Discard 2 basic energy grass energy cards from your hand. If you can't discard 2 cards in this way, this attack does nothing. I mean, at that point you have to hold on to some basic grass energy to be able to discard and have it do 130 damage. I'm not big on discarding stuff, but to do 130 damage, that will eat away at your opponent's Pokemon's HP pretty quick, unless they maybe have resistance or have like an obnoxiously high, 300 plus HP, and then you're discarding cards to maybe do a third of the damage. Arctibax, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's a water type. Sharpfin, water and a normal energy to do 40 damage. Frost Smash, 2 water and 1 normal energy to do 80 damage. I mean, Frost Smash sounds like it should be ice, but it's costs water. I mean, it almost sounds like a variation on like Ice Punch or something. Seems like it has the potential that like it could have a flip a coin for the possibility to freeze your opponent's active Pokemon, but nope, no abilities from either of the attacks other than just doing damage. Dwebble, grass type Pokemon, although it looks like a little crab in a snail's snail shell. Ascension, it's a normal type energy. Search your deck for a card that evolves from this Pokemon and put it onto the Pokemon to evolve it. Then shuffle your deck. I mean, the attack doesn't do anything damage-wise, but you're basically evolving your Pokemon by using the attack. And then we have Giraffe, which, if you've ever noticed the subscribe button in the corner, it's a giraffe bag because I like giraffes, and double draw is costs a normal energy to draw 2 cards. Kind of surprised there's not a drawback to that, like, discarding a card to draw the 2 cards, so kind of glad about that. Psybeam costs a psychic energy and a normal energy to do 30 damage. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now confused, so in addition to doing damage, it also has a status effect. Rapidash, which evolves from Ponyta. Ability is Hurried Gate. Once during your turn, you may draw a card. So again, kind of surprised but glad that, the card draw doesn't have a drawback. Fire Mane cost fire and normal energy to do 60 damage. And oh look, we have Ethan's Cyndail, which I believe earlier we had. Yeah, we had the evolution. So kind of cool we have so many of Ethan's cards in this particular pack. Ember costs a fire energy to do 30 damage. Discard an energy card from this Pokemon. So kind of mildly annoying to discard an energy to be able to attack, especially where the attack doesn't have any kind of status effect like burning your opponent's Pokemon. Next we have Griffin Bloom, and then it has a Pikachu, like a Halloween Jack-o'-lantern Pikachu. I don't remember what exactly it's supposed to be, but maybe it was from a special Halloween set. It's a psychic Pokemon. Gust costs 2 normal energy to do 30 damage. Curse Spreading costs 3 psychic. Put 8 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon in any way you like. So kind of interesting that instead of having a specific amount of damage it does, you're just putting damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon in any way you like. Greedent. Gladness Tail costs 2 normal energy to do 60 damage and you draw 2 cards. So play a lot of trainers, Pokemon, more specifically Ethan's, and Giraffe in here. My friend happens to like Snorlax and haven't found one in this pack or the last pack. So she's probably going to be a little upset that I found a Giraffe without finding a Snorlax, but oh well. So hopefully you found some value in this. Check back later for some more Magic and Pokemon related pack openings and a couple of Magic the Gathering decks to open. Thanks and have a good night.